Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Kira Perry from Section 20 of Chem 1, and today we will be discussing why does vitamin E in vape juices cause lung disease? Alright, so let's talk about what vitamin E is. So vitamin E is a nutrient that's vital for reproduction, vision, and skin function. The main source of vitamin E is in vegetable oils and seeds. Now, vitamin E also helps with cellular function and respiratory as well. So the vitamin E is made up of 8 different compounds. Vitamin E is hydrophobic, so it's digested in the same way lipids are, and the nutrient is digested through mucosa in the digestive tract. Now, in the digestive tract, that would be considered the upper part, so it would be the lumen. All right, so why doesn't it belong in the lungs? So since vitamin E is only fat soluble through lumen in the digestional tract, vitamin E cannot be absorbed elsewhere. So it is not considered water soluble. There are some different forms of vitamin E that is through just taken through your diet. However, the vitamin E that we are talking about is a compound of an acetate. So that acetate is put in vape devices. So that is what we are looking at a little bit closer here. So that being said, the vitamin cannot be broken down in the lungs, causing it to stay there for long periods of time. The mucus lining in the lungs could help break some of the compounds down. However, with enough smoking, that lining breaks down with it. And another reason as to why vitamin E can't just break down in the lungs is because of toxic byproducts made when E is broken down. So in the image to the left, we can look at the disruption to the lung function and how different types of inflammation is caused, which injures the lungs. All right, now let's look at long-term causes of vitamin E in the lungs. So broken down mucosal linings in the lungs, stopping the filtering of vape products out of the lungs, along with other smoking devices. So this is talking about how the mucosal lining can only do so much filtering, but there comes a point where the lungs can't keep up with the amount that it's filtering out. So that lining is then inflamed, and then there's an abundance in the production that's going on in the lungs. So that's where you get your coughing, your mucus, your just overall inflammation. So another reason for the just long-term causes of vitamin E is a decreased airway capacity throughout time. So there was a study done, and adults found with high levels of gamma tocopherol in the lungs were found to have trouble taking in air. So gamma tocopherol is another compound that makes up a type of vitamin E. So all of this is just another name for vitamin E. So, and then another reason is while vitamin E helps circulatory functions within the lungs and red blood cells, applying vitamin E directly to the lungs has shown no direct health benefits, as it causes more harm than good. So, we were talking about how circulatory functions are improved with vitamin E. However, there comes to a point where vitamin E in blood levels becomes toxic when too much is taken in, just as any vitamin is can become toxic after a point of intake. So the X-ray to the right over here, we can see smoke in the lungs as well as some scar tissue. All right, let's move on. So why is vitamin E put into vapes? Well, the nutrient is placed in vaping products because it acts as a thickening agent to the juice. However, the oils tend to stay in the lungs, causing a highly toxic agent called vitamin E acetate, also known as alpha tocopherol, a compound related to vitamin E. And since the vitamin E is derived from oils, it's used as a preservative for longer shelf life as well. So just to the right, as I was mentioning, the different compounds that make up vitamin E, you can see different combinations of carbons and hydrogens put together to make up different compounds, all leading back to the same thing. And now we go to what's lung disease. I know we've been talking about it this whole time, but what is it at its base? So the general term for lung disease refers to the overall dysfunction of the lungs, whether that be through asthma, lung cancer, and pressing infections in the area. Referring to another compound found within vitamin E, gamma tocopherol, high levels of this branch has been noted to reduce lung function by about 10 to 17%. So we go back to that study that we were talking about, where air intake was found to decrease majorly within adults who smoked versus those who remained healthy within their lifestyle. So symptoms include trouble breathing, shortness of breath, and an outstanding cough, a cough that lasts for much longer than your average cold or flu. And in this diagram, we can just view the healthy lung versus a smoker's lung. So you can see on here it says deposits of tar. However, in the example that we're talking about, it would be deposits of vitamin E. And that vitamin E causes a thick layer along the mucosal line, which just stops the ability of the lungs to expand and contract. So that is why the lung function decreases majorly. All right. So what can we do to solve this problem? So vitamin E is broken down in light and with air. So that being said, waiting the chemical out should clear up the lungs. However, if more vitamin E is packed on top of the existing layer, it will be much harder for the vitamin E acetate to dissolve. Similarly, vitamin E can be stored in the body for a couple of days to a couple of months. It all depends on the intake and recovery time allotted. So other than light and air, there's really not a major way that can dissolve vitamin E other than through time or allowing the body to function as it should, as it was intended to do. And then last slide we have is our sources, and I hope that you got something out of this video. Please comment and like if you learned something from this. All right, thank you.